Hello there. Welcome to Sumit Academy. In this video, we will deal with an ever-present modern-day problem, terrorism. It is the biggest epidemic today, tearing apart the social fabric and world peace. So what is terrorism? What drives terrorists to commit mass murders? You see, terrorism is not an ideology like capitalism, socialism, or communism. Rather, terrorism is a tactic, a strategy used to achieve a specific end. It is now a word generally used to describe acts of violence carried out in the name of an organization or religion or against an ideology. It's also a term used to describe violence or other harmful acts committed or threatened against civilians by groups or persons for political, nationalist, or religious goals. These are the three major aims of terrorism. As a type of unconventional warfare, terrorism means to weaken or supplant existing political landscapes through capitulation, acquiescence, or radicalization, as opposed to subversion or direct military action. The violence is aimed at creating fear in the targeted population and often provokes prompt and violent response from the state. The terrorism we see today is global in character and reach. It is marked by a large number of transnational groups, predominantly having religious fundamentalism as their core ideology. Terrorism has been described variously as both a tactic and a strategy, a crime and a holy duty, a justified reaction to oppression, and an inexcusable abomination. Obviously, a lot depends on whose point of view is being represented. Terrorism has often been an effective tactic for the weaker side in a conflict. Terrorist groups have now begun using the internet and the media to spread fear and impact public opinion with their political or social or religious message. States also use terrorism tactics. For instance, states can sponsor terrorist groups in other countries in order to support foreign policies or safeguard their own national interest. Now, this brings us to our next issue. What are terrorist attacks? Now, these can be characterized as indiscriminate, the targeting of civilians, or executed with disregard for human life. Terrorist acts often take the form of shootings, bombings, and other types of mass murder. It influences an audience beyond the immediate victim. The strategy of terrorists is to commit acts of violence that draws the attention of the local populace, the government, and the world to their cause. The effectiveness of the terrorist act lies not in the act itself, but in the public's or government's reaction to the act. For example, in 1972, At the Munich Olympics, the Black September organization killed 11 Israelis. The Israelis were the immediate victims, but the true target was the estimated 1 billion people watching the televised event. Now, those billion people watching were to be introduced to fear, which is terrorism's ultimate goal. So, terrorism is thus designed to produce an overreaction, and it usually succeeds at that almost all the time. Societies tend to close themselves off, and governments use tactics that restricts and infringe upon everyone. So now, can we define a terrorist? The word terrorism is used to assert that the enemy's political violence is immoral, wanton, and unjustified. Terrorists are actors who do not belong to any recognized armed forces or who don't abide by the laws of war and who, therefore, are regarded as rogue actors. Now, those labeled terrorists rarely identify themselves as such. Instead, they typically use terms referring to their ideological or ethnic struggle, such as separatist, freedom fighter, liberator, revolutionary, vigilant, militant, paramilitary, guerrilla, rebel, jihadi, mujahideen, or fidain, or any similar meaning word in other languages. Well, they may call themselves by any name, but they are still to be feared and to be ruthlessly suppressed. Well, that's all from me on what is terrorism and who is a terrorist. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on my future videos. In the meantime, do write in with your suggestions to sumitacademy20@gmail.com. Cheers.